What is going on, everyone? To be on in just a moment. Doing some last minute things, you guys. We'll get on here in just a moment. Hey. Turn on this fan, you guys. It is hot in here. All right, everyone. Let's go ahead and get this started. If I got this planned out right. What is going on, everyone? Woo! I thought it was Friday. It's not Fridays. Happy Sunday. So this episode of State of the Game, we're gonna be sitting down and talking about Star Citizen. No, Star Citizen, not my bad. A little bit of Star Citizen, a little bit of No Man's Sky, but mainly we're gonna be talking about Starfield. It's been about a month and a half since it's been out, right? I can't believe it's been that long already. And it's just been so many mixed reviews about all this, and I'm like, I'm on the optimistic side of this, and I know there's a lot of people who are pointing out things about the game, such as the vehicles, which we're going to touch on in the podcast a little bit later. There's also been some aspects of the item tracking where you kind of need to set it, but when it's set, it doesn't necessarily give you an easy way to unset it. Like, you would have to literally remember which kind of component you crafted or wanted to craft, go back to that specific thing, and then untrack it, and then would completely take it off. So I can see how it's kind of cumbersome, but you really need to pay attention in what you're doing in this game, and I think it's because of the whole thing about being tedious. And what I mean by that is you're going in not knowing what to do versus you having like a full arsenal of like what to do when you have a walkthrough, when you have a let's play to go off of, things like that generally. But I feel like this is the type of game that you're meant to play on and on and on and on to gain a whole bunch of this knowledge, because Bethesda's looking into the future with this game, like 5 or 10 years down the road, the same thing that they would do with with Skyrim, with Fallout, some of their other games. It's just super interesting they chose to go that route. And not to mention that they also kind of stepped back with the whole open world kind of thing. And this is something I wanted to bring up in my my review coming out soon, is that taking that step back, not going to the whole saturation of open world games, because it's always been, oh, it's got to be seamless, it's got to be open world. That's what I enjoy, but how much of it are you going to enjoy in every single space game that comes out, or any adventure game that comes out generally? Because there's always people looking for these whatchamacallit, the invisible wall. I'm like, why? Do you have fun doing that? Is it something you generally love to do in every single game you play? You just like to find the invisible wall immediately and you're like, oh, I'm done. I just don't understand it, and I want to know why people are so fascinated with that. Why would they want to have something seamless in every single video game? This doesn't make sense. It makes sense for VR. It doesn't make sense if you're sitting in a console or you're sitting at your PC right in front of you. Let's use No Man's Sky as a good example. So No Man's Sky, seamless. Like, you can go from one part of the planet and either take your ship or your vehicle or go on foot, and you could just go on and on and on and on up until you're able to reach the marker that you reached before. Yes, it's going to take hours on end to sit there and reach it, depending on your transportation, but yeah, after a while you get kind of burnt out on that, especially if it's the same thing every single time. Having borders it's a good way to be refreshed with kind of some of the old gameplay we used to have. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have been playing earlier than what open world adventure was like, but with those kind of games, they kind of kept you focused on what you needed to do. You didn't really need to pay attention to something that was maybe, what, I'm guessing units or miles all the way across a planet or a universe. You just do what you needed to do, done the mission, you're good to go. But it just seems a little odd to me that we need to keep having this big open world kind of thing. It works for some games, but not a lot of games. I think this particular game, Starfield in general, it just doesn't work that way. Procedurally generated tiles was a really good idea, and what I think is a good compromise between, how do I word this? If it's a good compromise to keep everything. I think if they wanted something that was seamless, if they wanted to keep everything, including the kitchen sink, they would have to go the same route as Star Citizen, and I don't know if a lot of Bethesda players would have gone with that idea. It just doesn't make sense on paper to them. So maybe dropping the FPS to 30 FPS, and I did see a lot of people getting 60, if not higher, while they were playing. Those are just my beginning thoughts about it. We're gonna get into more detail in a little bit later, but I just want to give my initial immediate thoughts about the game so far. But no, I'm loving the game. I'm already level 51, played about 169 hours, where else am I going with this? And I'm already on my third New Game Plus. I decided not to do the factions on my second playthrough because I felt like I botched it. I felt like I botched my New Game Plus. So I wanted to jump in the New Game Plus in order for me to kind of start from scratch and be like, okay, cool. I know what to do during this. I know not to focus on outposts. I need to see whether or not I can get these other traits in order for my character to be, what it needs to be, and then focus on outpost stuff later. I want to say it sucks when you can't sit there and do everything you want in the playthrough, even though you can. It's just a little tedious to get the experience you want, to open up specific traits and to kind of get that momentum going in the same way that you could with Fallout 76 or what you could with Skyrim. The only thing I can really reference is Skyrim, because that's the only other Bethesda game I've ever played. I've heard of Fallout and everything, but I never actually sat down and put hours in to play it. With Skyrim, on the other hand, when I first played, right when I was getting out of that cave, and then it was just this whole world just opened up to me. I didn't know necessarily where to go. I think I followed what's his name to the village, and then ended up getting the stuff I needed, and then headed from there over to, starts with a D. Someone help me out. I can't remember the city that you go to. No, it's Whiterun, and it does not start with a D. So you go off to Whiterun, and then you start the missions there, and then eventually it leads you down that main storyline for you to become Dragonborn. With Starfield, I get a little bit of that vibe. I don't necessarily get the whole Skyrim vibe from it. I just kind of see where it leads. It's like when you want to start off a constellation, but then something else catches your eye, and then you go to this next thing, and then this next thing, and this next thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, that part of Skyrim is definitely in the game. So when you're saying Skyrim in space, you're definitely saying it. I couldn't see it before, but now I do. Oh man, I can't wait to talk about the ship building and the ship flight in general. Oh man, that's gonna be something that's there's something I really want to get off my chest about that. And I don't know if some of you have seen it, but was it Down to Earth Astronomy was able to find a way for players who have hostess controls to play with it in game. You just have to use a virtual controller to do it, but it's not necessarily the same. For those of you who've played on Elite Dangerous and have used your controls to move pips around and stuff like that, to take off in your ship, to land with your ship, with HOTAS, that it's a very, how do I explain it? It's a very accomplished feeling to know that you know how to manage your ship, how to manage your systems, how to manage your weapons, how to get the landing gear down, how to take the landing gear up, hover, and then just take off at a good trajectory, increasing speed, and then getting from the atmosphere out into space, and then jumping towards your destination. With Starfield, it kind of takes you aback just a little bit because we have loading screens. Now, I've been in an age where we had loading screens in older games, and I didn't mind because they always had useful tips. When you're sitting, sometimes it didn't, not the old ones, but some of the older generation games that did have loading screens would add tips at the bottom, and that was your fact on getting the one up in the game because you kind of knew this fact already, and then that was your advantage. I feel like with Starfield, it was kind of the same thing. While you're reading during the loading screen at the bottom, there was some stuff that even I didn't know about the game that some YouTubers didn't also know, which is surprising. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny when they went ahead and put down that you cannot land on gas or ice planets. It's like, I think it was kind of obvious. They just needed to add that fact there, though. It's just super weird. I can't remember the player's name who was outraged on Reddit that we should be able to land on gas giants. I'm like, no, you can't. Why would you want to do that? It would make no sense for the realism of the game. Speaking of realism of the game, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down just a bit. I feel like it's kind of loud. But no, everyone, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out during this podcast. It's My third time doing this, and I'm loving it. Just a bit. Yeah, right there. That should be good. But one of the things I want to talk about too is DLSS not being there, and a lot of NVIDIA players not happy that Bethesda was kind of putting this game in the realm of AMD. Because I'm guessing there are just not too many PC players out there who have AMD CPUs or AMD graphics cards. So kind of pushing them out of the whole game. They're not necessarily getting that. They're not getting that experience that they would usually have in other games that would allow for DLSS. But ever since, I'm gonna guess the recent update from either 1.7 or I have it like right in front of me. Let's see, is it 1.7 the last time they got news about an update when they're gonna put it in? Or 1.733? No, I don't think it was 133. Sometime between that and 36 is when they put it in. And I guess that's just to appease the other NVIDIA players. But for some of you NVIDIA players out there, how do you feel about that? Like, did you think you even needed it because you wanted to have the best quality possible for a mostly anticipated space game of the year? Also, since this... Wait, how do I explain this? Since we don't get the seamlessness in this game, is Starfield mainly an RPG? Just an RPG, not a space RPG? Because it still does take place in space. It just doesn't have all the same things as No Man's Sky would, or Star Citizen, or Elite Dangerous. I could also bring up Space Engineers and then Dual Universe, but I think that's a whole other can of worms to bring up those two games. With Dual Universe, it's generally you building everything, and I mean everything. From like the outside of your ship, to putting in all the components perfectly, to smoothing it out, making it your likeness of whatever you wanted. Excuse me. Or you would just go ahead and buy the ship that was already made, but it was kind of locked behind a whole like piloting skill that you need to have a high skill in, which sounds familiar, right? But at least in Starfield, when you did fly, you were able to kind of get a good bearing of what your ship would be like if you didn't have the trait. If you had at least level 1 of the trait, you could have specific boosters from, you know, left... I'm sorry, let me get my space cap on. Get these terms right. You have pitch down, pitch up, strafe left, strafe right, and then twist to yaw left, twist to yaw right, and then nose up, nose down, which I guess is pitch up, pitch down. But those were in the game. I strongly doubted that was going to be in the game, like maybe months ago before the game came out. To my surprise, it was hidden behind rank 2. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They actually put it in the game. I was like, oh man, this is good news. Because I am not a fan of the dogfighting for No Man's Sky. As much as I love to do it in game, I just wish they had, you know, straight up, straight down. I really wish they would. If they don't have it on the planet, I'm like, that's fine. But if they were able to have it to where you're in space and you're in a dogfight, instead of just kind of like looping around and just maybe doing the whole, like, I forgot what it's called when you're on a horse as a knight and then you're jousting. Yeah, too much jousting. That's like only one way to have a good tactic. Or you would kind of stop and then just like pitch the nose up and then just kind of like shoot forward again. You know, it's like you can do that, but imagine if you could just strafe to the left or the right and just kind of stay on your enemy while they're trying to turn. That's a whole side exposed, which would immediately get the one up on your enemy. So ships in No Man's Sky, the NPCs, when you're dogfighting them, they fly faster than you, which to me makes no sense. A hauler should not fly faster than a fighter. It shouldn't. Now there's debate, I think, that's going to come up with, what is it called? Oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue. they're not smuggler ships, which I actually no, I think they are smuggler ships. Is the solar class ships, because those are kind of like a fighter and kind of like a cargo ship at the same time. That I would understand flying fast. Exploration ships, it's kind of up in the air with me. It's 50-50. I don't think it should move as fast as a fighter, but at the same time, I don't think it should move as slow as a hauler. I think it's kind of in between. Living ships are a whole nother thing, so I won't pinch on that, but kind of going off the rails with this one. It's just that flying mouse and keyboard is totally different from HOTAS. For some of you who've been doing this on No Man's Sky for a bit, just flying mouse and keyboard or using controller. Flying with mouse and keyboard, you kind of get that WASD thing going, where you still have control, I think, to go down, or is it Alt, one of those two, and then you have space to kind of pitch or strafe up. But other than that, you still have kind of the same idea. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about pips again later, but with the whole, I call them pips, they're really just moving energy from the reactor over to your main systems, which is your engine, your shield, your missile, and 2 laser weapons or ballistic weapon, however you have it configured. When you're targeting, you have to do that with WASD, but when you're out of that, you usually have to use, I think it's the arrows. The reason why I'm thinking about this is because when I do dogfight, I'm not thinking about it, I just do it and know. Because you've been doing this in other games too. Especially, like I mentioned earlier, Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen. So, it's just, there's a nice strong foundation if you've been using HOTAS. But if you've been playing No Man's Sky, you don't have any of those foundations. Recently, in the... Ooh, this is my train of thought. In the Echoes update that just came out, I think it was maybe 2 weeks before Starfield, they just added the distribution of power. The reason why I'm separating pips from distribution of power, even though they're the same thing, distribution of power for No Man's Sky is generally just pushing a button and you cycle through whether or not you want it to be engines, whether or not you want it to be shields, or I think it's 2 other items that are on there as well, which should be, no, hold on, I mentioned firepower, missiles, shield, and speed. There you go. Yeah, the engines. It's interesting how they just let you select it and then boom, it's set. You can't really allocate like little bits of power to some other system and still have maybe either a higher or a lower amount than what's on the other side for your systems. I think they wanted to have more of an ease of use for players, because No Man's Sky goes down that route. They're not necessarily the hardcore they're not the hardcore space game that you would see in Star Citizen and that you would see in Elite Dangerous, that you would definitely see in Dual Universe, and then you know, some of the other space games that are just kind of grouped around that. It's not like that at all. It's more of a relaxed exploration game where you're going on expeditions, you're traveling the universe, you're discovering new things, you're surveying planets, and occasionally fighting sentinels, and now, since the Echo updates came out, fighting pirates in space too, and kind of destroying capital ships. So they're going towards that awesome aspect of the game, but I think that would be something if you want to play where you don't want to stress out too much. I mean, it's to the point where they even have a relaxed mode, so you're able to kind of have an unlimited amount of everything, and then just kind of go through the universe as is. So it's a total relaxed game. But if you're looking for something that has more action, then you would go towards, you know, Elite Dangerous, and then Star Citizen for that FPS and HOTAS control and dogfighting, and then Starfield, which is kind of that in between of everything, where you get the FPS, you get the dogfights. It's just that the loading screens are there to move in between places, which I mentioned already. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Someone's got to come in here and tell me like the initial problem with loading screens that they have. How does it hinder their gameplay? How in the world does it bother you? It's a game. And I guess they're gonna bring up immersion, and I don't know how immersed we can become unless it's in VR. Starfield is kind of already on its way there. What I don't get is, and No Man's Sky is definitely there. They just need the flight mechanics changed a little bit to make dogfighting just a little bit more fleshed out, instead of having the arcadey kind of what is it, pitch up, pitch down, and then like twist the yaw left and right, and then that's it. They just need it. They need more boosters on the side to kind of just give it that oomph, man. That strafe up and strafe down, strafe left, strafe right. I wish as a gamer playing that game and covering it, like I wish you guys would do that. Distribution of power is a step forward, but nah, they need more. They need more, which brings me back to my point earlier. Do we really need to have all of these space games have the same exact thing? It's just that we don't. We really don't. We need to have variety, because what if all of our games were like Star Citizen, where we were consistently waiting 10 plus years in order for us to play the game? There's reason behind why they're taking so long to make this game. It's because they want every single planet in the game detailed. Software crashes. Oh, so our special guest will be on here pretty soon. We're just kind of getting through some technical difficulties, but I appreciate it, Dig. Lost me train of thought. we're going off on a tangent with trying to sit here and remember what were we going off of. We were talking about flight mechanics, and then it kind of snowballed into something else. But there was this video I was watching that kind of struck me. No, it struck me as like kind of odd. It's talking about the romance in Starfield. I'm like, that was kind of a given at the beginning when they were explaining the game. But what what I really want to know is, why would anyone have a problem with that? Not to say that people can't have their own opinions about it. What I want to understand is, why is it a problem? If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. There's an option for you to choose to just be friends with all the characters. I just don't think it's a valid point to bring up that it's a problem. I mean, like, it's not. You literally have the choice to choose to be friends with them. You don't have to pursue any kind of romance in there. There's the option, and that's a big thing in these kind of games. You want options rather than being locked to do something. I mean, if you're just sitting there, it's just like with the whole invisible wall. There's people who just want to point it out. And during like the whole 169 hours of gameplay, there's no, I haven't ran into an invisible wall like at all. I haven't had the need to, because I'm usually going out to outposts, cleaning them out, or I'm usually building an outpost, or maybe I'm searching for resources to make a specific outpost to haul my resources to my main outpost. But no, never once ran into a wall. And if I felt like I was going to reach that edge, there was always something popping up that I needed to explore or survey. And I think we're kind of missing the point on this, where we kind of need to find these, what's the word? Oh my god, it's escaping my mind. We need to stop looking for these mistakes that we think are mistakes with the game. We kind of need to find out what we're, no, not what we're, well, oh my god, I can't even word it. Not what our expectations are with the game. We kind of need to see what's already being shown, not hope for what we want, but kind of, I want to say power up, but like that makes no sense. We kind of want to get hyped for the things that are already there, the things we already know. That's what we should get hyped for. We shouldn't get hyped for things that we don't know. Case in point, with No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, we get hyped for these updates because we get an emoji, and then we think about what the emoji is, and then we get excited for what we think it is, or what we tell other people it is, and then all of a sudden it's something we totally never thought about, yet we're still playing it. We wish it was this thing, but then it's not. But we keep wishing for it every single time this pattern happens, where we know there's a sale going on, and then there's the emoji, and then we're expecting the drop to come out on either a Wednesday, or in this case, maybe some other day, because they're trying to change up the pattern. And I felt like a lot of people aren't being, either not being heard, or it's just something that they're not gonna do, because one, they can't do it, or two, they're just like, we're not listening, we're not gonna do it, or they just straight up can't. It's one of the two, and I'm fine with either one, because we still enjoy the updates, we still enjoy the expeditions, and we still enjoy having that camaraderie within the community to kind of gather and then have this like special moment where we think something is something when really it's nothing, and it's this other thing. But what does that have to do with Starfield? Starfield is this other entity where we're looking for flaws, and we find those flaws. Some of those flaws are obvious though, like some of the bugs that are just coming out, making the game almost unplayable for some people. Like, what is it? People really point out that security guard that never has any clothes. I guess after a certain amount of time playing, that's never happened to me. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, I'll point it out. But it must be people who just have that bug come up, and then it happens to that one NPC. I don't know why. It's just that one NPC. It makes no sense. That kind of goings in circles. Wow, I really know how to speak. Let's see, my initial thoughts on the game. If I had to give it a score, I definitely give it an 8 out of 10. Now, the reason why I want to give it an 8 out of 10, it's because there is a lot in the game to keep you engaged. There is so much. Not only do you have the main quest with Constellation to work off of, you also have side quests that are kind of quick to do. You also have main faction quests to do, and it's just on and on and on and on. You don't even have to do missions. You can just go out and look for a fight. You can just go to an outpost and be like, oh, this is an abandoned outpost, I'm gonna go see what's in here. You go in there, there's a whole bunch of either ecliptic soldiers, or maybe there's House of Baroon zealots there, and then you're just sitting there just wiping them out with either a melee weapon, your fists, or maybe like some type of rifle, pistol, or maybe some heavy weapon you found. Maybe you have a companion when maybe you don't. You're still going in there and you're still finding a bunch of these really cool things. And for some of you who are playing but don't want to be spoiled, you're probably going to want to mute this part for a little bit, because I'm about to explain New Game Plus and then New Game Plus Plus for my experience. I can't necessarily say everyone's going to have the same experience when they play. We're going to touch on that in a moment too. With New Game Plus, I started finding more legendary stuff, more epic and rare weapons than anything else in game. It was pretty cool. Like, I was barely finding any Tontos in the first playthrough. The second playthrough, oh yeah, dropped almost immediately as soon as I get in. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Like, one right after the other with ecliptic soldiers. And then I ended up getting another katana, ended up finding another location where I could buy a katana without having to join the strikers. I was like, oh, that's what's up. You gotta, like, I don't have to immediately do that mission. The strikers questline isn't bad. It's actually pretty good. It's kind of turning this gang's whole life around at the end. But that was kind of the norm when this first came out. And by this I mean the game, Starfield. Is where when this immediate knowledge came out, we immediately wanted to share it with people. Hey Smash, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Happy Sunday. What's going on? I hope you're doing well too. Thank you so much. It's feeling a little bit dry though in the mouth. Oh man, just sitting here and having a chat session with our special guest gonna come up soon. Just kind of waiting on it, and we're just kind of talking about, you know, just space games in general, and especially what you all came here for, which is Starfield. But I was going over the amount of knowledge shared when we found this new information. So initially, we're talking about the Wakazashi. There was already this way to get it. You just had to go to the strikers, go through that first mission, get the sword, and then you didn't have to do anything anymore if you didn't want to. But you're still attached to this kind of side quest. You felt like, oh, I need to finish this whole thing. So you finished it, and you felt like, okay, I have this really cool sword. Now I can just move on. But people were doing that. People were stealing it. I don't know if anyone had mentioned that one of the other vendors within, oh, not Volley, it's within Neon, was also selling it, like right across from one of the other stores. And I was like, dude, are you serious? This whole time I could have just gone to the store, bought it, and then left. Went straight to Ryujin. Oh man, Ryujin, that was a very, very cool quest. You being like a corporate operative, aka corporate ninja. Like, yes, that mess was awesome. Just all the slander, the hacking, and stuff like that. It just made it feel rewarding at the end when you were able to, I forgot the character's name, you were able to clear one character that you met at the beginning, but then, you know, you found out who was really the mole within that corporate field of Ryujin, and then you were able to point her out, and then she was gone after that, and you got your own office. Plus, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but during my first playthrough of it, I ended up having a legendary weapon in the office. I didn't want to take it off the rack because I had no use for it. I think it was either a shotgun or it was a rifle. And I believe it was advanced too. I was just surprised to have it sitting in there, and I'm like, nope, not touching it. And then just kind of like left. Now there's also a mission board where you can kind of keep going with the operative missions. But I wish there was just a little bit more to it, just a little bit more. And then, like, I don't know. The Outer Limits was a letdown. Oh, I put my glasses away. Let's see, the Outer Limits was a letdown. Just a Fallout 4 DLC. Should have been Starfield. Yeah, oh, the Outer Limits? Or was it the Outer Worlds? It was one of those two, right? I think it was the Outer Worlds. I felt the Outer Worlds was I did play it for a little bit. I haven't completed it yet. I need to sit down and play it. Do I have it for PlayStation or do I have it for PC? I think I have it for PC. I don't remember. I was so lost in that mess. I really was. I was really lost in that game. I made the best of it though. I was trying to stay on some particular story, but it wasn't really apparent to me when I first played it. And then Cyberpunk came in, and then I just dropped it. I gotta go back onto it because there's a part 2 coming out soon. So I gotta get this other game finished before I want to do that. And like, I'm totally down to play that too. Oh, don't even get me started on some of the other space games that are coming out soon. The Invincible, which is coming out next month. That's in a couple of weeks. Sorry about the Outer Worlds. Yeah. So, what is it, in a couple of weeks? Yeah, in a couple of weeks it's going to come out. I think it's November 6th. Don't quote me on that. And I definitely want to check out the game. It's not going to be, you know, like hours on end of content, but it being based on a book and then it being played as a game, guiding you through the whole entire story, it's meant to have some exciting shocks and turns. Going off of the trailer, playing the demo for a little bit, it was fun, but then it cut it off at a very, very good point. Waste of coin. Really that bad? But man, I wanted to touch on Star Wars Outlaws. Another space game I'm looking forward to. So it's not gonna take place with any of the Jedi, from what I've heard. There might be like a Jedi character that makes an appearance. And then maybe they might be a part of your crew somewhat, or maybe somebody you know, or maybe you cross paths with maybe Cal Kestis, or maybe some other famous Star Wars character, but we'll see. We'll see. But I'm really liking the stealth, the combat, the fact that you get in a speeder and start like going to places. It kind of has this free world kind of roam, which yes, it still has that little bit of saturation, but I'm hoping they bring something very old school and kind of make it new into the game, so that way you're kind of able to get something new, like a breath of fresh air from this game. And I can't remember the trailer, I gotta watch this thing again, but you're able to take off in the ship into space, I think seamlessly, and you're able to dogfight within the ship too. And then it still has the same effect when you're able to, it's not warp, it's when you jump with your hyperdrive. It still has that same Star Wars effect. That look so cool. But I was more interested in the character and how you're gonna play her as a bounty hunter, like just being this badass character who ends up just doing her own thing, just doing whatever. And I think a lot of players are gonna have fun with that. No one's gonna really tell you how to play the game, but I think for that specific kind of role, I think people are going to tell you how to play the game. They're going to tell you how to play the game to your best ability and what you should or shouldn't have. And this brings me back to Starfield. Let's see, just upgraded to PSVR 2. That's what's up. You can dogfight No Man's Sky like a legend. I know, but I'm really missing out on strafing. I just really wish they let us strafe in that game. Like, it's a love-hate relationship for me with No Man's Sky. I love playing it. I love dogfighting in it. I just kind of wish they had all the other mechanics within it too. Like, I want to be able to set out my landing gear and land. Hey, Punch Human, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Happy Sunday. What's going on? But yeah, I want control of my ship. I want control of my ship. I definitely want to leave the ship. Not by teleportation, but, you know, by walking out of the, or like, how do I explain it? Because these are all like single-seater ships, and I'm like, I'm not down with that. I want to be the person who walks in from the back, which is the, you know, from the ramp, through the cargo area, to the front where the seats are, you know, get in my seat, and then, you know, grab the handles, set up everything, and then get ready to take off, especially with speed. Like, if you could do the same exact thing, once you sat in your chair and, you know, you get all settled in, then if you're in VR, you can go ahead and start pushing this button, this button, this button, and then you're set. Once systems are ready, you can sit there and then maybe hover and then press a button in order for your landing gear to come up, and then slowly edge the what is it, the thruster forward, or the oh my god, the thrust stick. And once that's pushed forward, you immediately just, and then bow, and just, you know, take off from the space station like you usually see during the animation. And I'm like, dude, that's gotta happen. It's gotta happen at some point for No Man's Sky. That will be, not even in my opinion, I think a lot of players are going to share this too, because then that means there's another control to the game, and then there's also a very new flight mechanic that was never there before. But not only would it work for the players, it would also work for the enemy ships too. They're also going to be strafing and dogfighting in these specific patterns against players, making it very hard for them to kind of get used to what they were, or hold on, let me go back on that. It's going to be difficult for players to learn and to master, because there's this whole new skill that they have to learn. Because this is something in other space games that they never had to do before. You can do most of that in VR too. It has a slightly different control, so good. So that's where it's that's where it's at then. Maybe we should be playing No Man's Sky in VR rather than just playing, you know, with a controller or mouse and keyboard. And by that I mean flight. But kind of the thing we're missing with VR is the going off on a tangent again. What we're missing from it is the pad on the bottom for us to move our legs, for us to control our character and move, or have us control how they move within game. I was watching one YouTuber. She was playing No Man's Sky in VR, and she had like full body control of her character, and when she ran maybe 500 units, she was dead tired, like literally just flat out tired. I was like, I kind of want that. I kind of want that in the game. And could you imagine doing that in Starfield? It would be so weird. Like, because people complain about running everywhere. Oh, which is definitely what I wanted to stumble into in this conversation. I also was in this camp where I kind of wanted to have vehicles within it, because there aren't any vehicles. I'm like, they want us to travel out so far within this tile that they have set up for us, and then they expect us to walk everywhere, especially when the destination is 1,000 kilometers out. I don't think that's the right measurement. That's probably not the right measurement, but it's 1,000 something away, which seems like it would take a really long time to get to. But I'm like, no, it's not. It's like 2 or 3 minutes of your time. The point where if you've already discovered the area, you're more than likely gonna fast travel back to wherever you want to go if you've already discovered it, or if you want to go back to your ship. Now, hey, what's going on?
Good evening and morning to you.
Hey everyone, welcome Digthat32.
How you doing, good sir?
Oh, not bad, man. How about you?
Man, I just lost everything. Trying to run Starfield, it wouldn't run. I'm trying to hurry up and get in here and hit verify because I heard that fixes it. And yeah, I guess that destroys all your save games.
Oh, yeah, I kind of had
Verify and repair.
Yeah. Had a similar issue where I wanted to start a new save, but have my old save on the side. And when I started a new game and started saving, I couldn't find my save data anywhere. I was like, where's my save data? Luckily for me, deleting the newer save data opened up all the older data I had. So I still had my like 169 hours of gameplay, still at level 49 or 51. And it was one of the two. And like I had a heart attack. I thought they were able to distinguish the two, but no, I guess they can't. It's just save file after save file after save file. But with that being said, and the fact that if you were to verify and repair and losing all your data, that's something major that they're gonna have to look at.
Yeah, that's no bueno, man. They should automatically back up your files, because I don't know if it says that you're gonna lose your files if you save and repair.
Right.
Let me turn my mic up. But I'm in a rush trying to get here, and I'll just like click, let's get this thing going. Save game's gone. And I still can't launch it, so I'm gonna run Star Citizen while we're talking about this.
That's what's up. But oh man, kind of wanted to, I think I touched a little bit earlier with No Man's Sky for a bit. I want to pick at it too much. But let's talk about some Star Citizen. You guys are still in PTU, right?
Yeah. Yes, PTU for 3.20.1, or is it 3.21?
Dang, I can't believe it's there. I remember like being in 3.5. I haven't hopped in like a long time, probably in a couple of months.
Okay.
I think it was not even a couple of months. It's like 6 months back in April. Like that was the last time I was on. Everything felt like it was really fleshed out and looked really good. Like so much better than the last time I played it. And it always feels like that when you're away from a while. But you know, seeing you play the other night, it looked like it was even better.
Yeah, you know, they're always progressing, adding a few things here and there. It's been man, I gotta tell you, it's been a very slow year. And it's probably not as bad for the new people joining in Star Citizen, but for the people that have been around like quite a while, this year was dragging. And you know, there's reasons for it, but that doesn't I don't know if that really helps.
But no, I feel it. Morphologist put out this tweet about some note. I guess that was either at for CitizenCon or something like that, where Squadron 42. Wow, I was gonna say the wrong name. May be coming out here pretty soon. Like I don't know whether or not that's gonna happen without some like concrete information from them.
No, they haven't announced anything official, but yeah, we should be. I mean, we're all guessing we should be getting a look at that by CitizenCon, and I hope so, because I need them to go ahead and knock out Squadron 42 and put back resources into Star Citizen, man.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Because they're the jump points are put in from what I've seen. I'm sorry, from what I've seen in the PTU. And I'm like, oh my god, Pyro's coming up, and it's like, oh man, like, I'm hoping to catch you guys to go on there because I've been waiting Pyro for a very long time. I don't know if they're gonna try to do that and the outpost thing at the same time, but I think the outpost thing is like a big undertaking where they're gonna want to have the ships that are gonna do it, the game mechanics that are gonna have them build it It's not going to be like a loading screen where you're going to put down the thing and it's an animation and then boom, it's built. No, they're going to build it like in real time in front of you in Star Citizen, because I know Chris Roberts is going to want it that way.
Man, you know what? It may be. You know, he likes everything to be diegetic, which I understand. But after playing Starfield, it just makes things go a little smoother. Just like placing stuff down. But they got a whole ship committed to building structure. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to have a choice on that. Whether we're just going to have to watch buildings get 3D printed.
Man,
which would be cool, too.
I wonder how long it's going to take.
Oh, that's got to take, boy. I don't know. Good question, man. That's got to take some time.
And then do you have to be present for it? And then if you don't have to be present for it, are you going to be sure that someone's going to watch it in order for a player not to grief it or to mess with it?
I think it'll probably be just like the ships where if you log out in your ship, I think right now, if you log out in your ship, there's a timer before your ship actually despawns, which they did that to prevent people from, what do they call it? Where you get mad and quit the game.
Oh yeah, rage quit.
Well, rage quit. They cut combat log. They call it combat logging. So to prevent that, so people can still kill you, loot your ship up, whatever. This like I want to say like a 5-minute timer that starts countdown. As soon as you log out, your stuff is still there, and I think that may be the direction that they go for the outposts streaming out. It'll still be there. Hopefully, you got some defensive turrets going. Because you don't want to log out in the middle of somebody attacking anyway, but it'll probably be there until 5 minutes counts down, and then it streams it out because they don't want to hold that information in the server either, taking up resources for no reason.
Right. That's been their big thing. Like ever since I was just kind of sitting there and letting my player, kind of like either sit in an area or just maybe go AFK. I cannot remember the the acronym. Yeah, so I go AFK for a bit, and then all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, boom, logged out. So they're definitely hammering on those, the allocation of resources to run Star Citizen.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there was one thing I wanted to touch on, too, other than Outpost Building and Stars. Whoa, I'm going to get the names mixed up. Star Citizen. Capital ships. Is that still a thing? Do people still want their capital ships, or have they moved on?
Do people still want their capital ships?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they paid money for it, so yeah, they want it. But
every day of the week, they want it.
But just the conversation about it, and just like, are they willing to wait, or are they like, no, I want it now?
Man, with gamers, everything is now. There is no unwilling to wait. I mean, you get pockets of people who are patient and understand that these things take time. But as far as the vibe on the internet, the internet is where all the loud people hang out, and the message from there is, we want it now, right now. Not now, but right now.
Seriously. So, jumping in the Starfield, the first tutorial, like going through the beginning of the game where you meet Lynn, you're meeting Heller, and kind of just getting used to the controls. And after that, you reach the the artifact. Then you kind of walk out onto the landing pad area where you kind of meet Barrett and Vasco. But you're kind of getting an idea of what Constellation might be. Then you're like running into the Crimson Fleet, and then it's just this battle between the miners and then the Crimson Fleet pirates. You take them all out. The ship leaves, and then you're just kind of almost done with the tutorial. You kind of talk to Barrett. You tell him like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Constellation, but then Lynn convinces him to stay there while you go out. And then you're finally let up into space where you're kind of just trapped in the spaceship where you have to learn the controls for flight. And then you just have to start learning how to allocate, like pips to different systems within your ship in order for you to fly a little bit faster or for you to shoot a little bit better. By shoot a little bit better, I mean powerful. That way you can destroy the ships a little bit faster. And then you can make your way to New Atlantis after that, and then boom, that's the end of the tutorial. Do you feel like that was a little bit of a wake-up call, being just like tossed into the pool to see if you can sink or swim?
Yeah, I thought it was great just because you get they overwhelm you, right? Because it starts off pretty straightforward, and then they just, like you said, just kind of throw you into the pool. Um, I think if not for that, it might have been a little underwhelming. People say that the beginning was underwhelming right now as it is, but for me, that was kind of the saving grace for that.
I'm thinking not too many players, one, would do this on mouse and keyboard, and two, those who don't play, the other space games, the hardcore space games, who are like coming from No Man's Sky or other games that don't have that hostess feature. It's kind of a bit of a shock to have to allocate things to systems. You're like, what? I don't know how to do this, and like, how am I supposed to shoot them, or how am I supposed to allocate these things? And you have to pay attention to instructions, and then they're being shot at while this enemy ship is doing loops around their ship, and you're right, it's just overwhelming. But for those of you who are experienced, it was nothing. It's like, oh well, this wasn't exciting. It's because you've already done it. You've already been under that pressure. I mean, if you could imagine the first time you were in game and you didn't know how to do it, how did you feel? Like, you felt shocked because you're like, okay, I need to do this, and all of a sudden it's like, bow, and then you're hit, and like, oh no, okay, what do I do next? And then bow, you're hit again, and then your ship is almost falling apart because the shields are down, and when you finally get it, you're just like hobbling back to the space station. But yeah, I think a lot of experienced space gamers have already been through that, and it's not really a rush for them anymore. It's more of a rush for someone who's never played the game before.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, of course, I have a little problem. My audio isn't coming through on my stream. Unbelievable.
Like all of a sudden.
Anyway, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say it's like dealing with a news crew where it's like the anchor just talking about the whole like news report, and then moves it on to the reporter on the street, and the reporter's like waiting for like 5 seconds until the audio to come up, and then they start going. But
man.
Character creation, it for some reason watching the trailers for it at the beginning and then during the summer, it felt like it was longer than what I actually experienced. I don't know if anyone else felt that way too, but you were going from your facial look to your hair to your eyes to your jaw, which is usually standard character creation kind of stuff, and then it was based on your body mass, the way you walked, all up until the part where you got the background, and then you kind of had to feel like, okay, maybe I want to be a chef, maybe I want to be a beastmaster, maybe I want to be a ronin, maybe I want to be a bounty hunter, or like anything between those within the list. And then you were kind of stuck with these 3 traits, and you're like, oh, this looks appealing, and this kind of would go with the background, so okay, I'm going to choose this one. And then you have to choose some other, they're not really traits, I think. No, the skills are traits. I'm getting this intertwined, because when you pick those 3 from a particular list, oh no, those are traits. Skill traits are the other ones. Yeah, so the 3 traits you pick, like if I pick empathy, introvert, and then terra firma, in which empathy, I would be able to feel people's feelings, and that would open up more conversations with others, to sympathize with them. And then introvert, I'm just someone who likes to be alone, which would be really beneficial for this other skill trait, where you wouldn't have any companions with you. And then what was the third one? Terra firma, where you would be stronger on a planet, but if you were in space, you would be weaker. Which I kind of find
trade-offs.
Yeah, trade-offs, exactly. And they had the opposite ones on there too, and I really like that aspect for the character creation, because it's not just you make your character, put your attributes in, and then hop off. It's not really quick. You really need to put in this decision, because it determines the outcome of your entirety of the game.
Like, yeah, that was because I played, but I mean, it's been a long time since I played the Bethesda game, and I can't remember if they didn't start like that, right? You didn't start picking all this stuff ahead of time, right?
Right.
Or did you?
It's right.
I can't remember if you did or not.
It's right when you get the artifact, and then you start seeing the like space and time. You start hearing the music, and then when you come to, that's when they put you in character creation.
Was that a thing in Skyrim? And
No, I think it was immediately you did that. I gotta.
But they did have it though. Like you could choose. Oh yeah. Because when they have you before you're supposed to get executed, you start picking like your character. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right when the executioner asks you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember now. I just had to have a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. I was one of those guys who picked for Starfield, picked the character stuff all ahead of time, everything except how the character looked, which saved a whole bunch of time. I heard that while I was streaming it day one, people were telling me in my chat that other streamers had been streaming for like an hour or two before I had even started it, and they were still on the character creator.
Wow.
Like choosing other stuff. Yeah. So I was glad I had that prepared because it's deep. And you know what? A lot of it doesn't matter. Well, I don't know about a lot of it, but a good chunk of it doesn't matter. Space Scoundrel, the only thing that affects is your stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is what stats that you have available from, or my bad, skills available from the beginning. So you just get a little bit of a head start in one direction or another. But the names themselves, like I thought there would be more RP roleplay to it, but like I've heard people say, I picked Space Scoundrel, and I've heard people reference it maybe twice during my hundreds of hours in the game.
Wow. I mean, to me, it felt more roleplay like somewhat for Ronin. I got maybe a shout out here and there from NPCs. Like there was one comment where it said, where one of the UC security guys has said, "Oh, it says you're a Ronin. Does that mean you like use a sword and stuff? You know we have guns, right?" And it's like it was like a snark at me. I was like, "Are you serious? Wow, I didn't think that would come up because of my background, but it did." So it's just little details like that make the background. Wait, what am I trying to say? That make choosing your background even more immersive. So when you do get that roleplay aspect, it may be little hints here and there for paying attention, but it's definitely worth it. Rather than just going into the game and then like no one really talks to you unless it's about a side quest, and then you just get a side quest.
No one knows your name.
Seriously. And then there's faction aspects too. Like you could be from Freestar Collective, and then someone talking to you from a Freestar Collective ship, or maybe on the planet, maybe in Aquila City, and then all of a sudden Freestar Collective option comes up when you're in conversation. You just choose that, and then it gets you into so many doors to the point where you can even leave the faction. I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought once you picked it, boom, that's it, you're stuck with it. But no, you can actually leave the Freestar Collective if you talk to the mayor. I don't know how it is with the United Colonies. You probably do the same thing because you can become a citizen, but I don't think you're oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, is there any benefit to leaving those factions?
I don't know, I've never tried.
Dig that. Yeah, you have a big a broader perspective on the game because you've what are you on your your third playthrough?
Third playthrough.
But I think you have less hours than me. I want to say I have like 240 hours or 250, something like that.
Oh.
And you have like 100 something, right?
Yeah, 169.
69. Nah, and real quick to people watching my stream, let me know if you still can't hear me. I think I fixed it. But yeah, I think that I spent so much time in playing the sides, playing everything but the side quest, and very little time. I mean, playing everything but the main quest, and very little time playing the main quest. That I'm kind of a noob in some things, and that's weird that you can have all these hours into the game and still be a noob just because you haven't experienced these things. Like, it's weird talking about this game. I thought would be different, because I thought we'd be like, yeah, remember when we did this, and this, and like one person's experience can be so far removed from their buddy's experience, so where it's almost like they're playing not different games, but I don't know. It's like two people in different parts of the country. It's weird.
Exactly. You're like, no one can tell you how to play this game because it's your story. And I really like the fact that they went in that direction. Like this, there wasn't going to be any kind of walkthrough for this. Like you can enjoy anyone's Let's Play because there's someone who could be a Ronin, but then go in this direction, or someone could be a Beastmaster, or maybe the Bounty Hunter, and have this whole entire series. And you're like, wow, and they experienced this situation that this other player experienced it in a totally different way.
Yeah, agree, man. Agree.
But aside from those two, favorite Bethesda space game before Starfield?
Bethesda space game? Or is it Bethesda game?
Oh no, favorite Bethesda game before Starfield.
Oh, okay. I was like, did they have another one? Fallout 4, man. And the reason being is the game was cool. The game was good. I mean, it's like if you play Starfield, it's Starfield, but just in a post-apocalyptic Earth, a post-apocalyptic Boston. But the hook for me was the settlement building. Oh my gosh, I spent so much time just doing that, man, ignoring everything else. Like I think where I left the game, because I never finished it, was like right before whatever like the few steps you're supposed to do before you finish the game.
Right.
And I couldn't do it because I couldn't stop building, man. And there I started looking around. There's like a whole community centered around just building settlements and all the mods and people showing off their what they built. And it's dope because it's doper in Fallout, because you have the settlers that are actually using the stuff, living in the place that you built, looking at the artwork that you put up, playing. I don't know if they play pool, but like doing some of that stuff that were kind of like activities, like the exercise bike, and it was dope. I've never played SimCity, or I played SimCity way back in the day. The Sims. I never played The Sims, but I imagine this is like kind of a simplified version of The Sims, which I kind of dug it. I wouldn't want to get way into what The Sims has to offer, but Fallout's settlements were perfect for me. Perfect getaway.
For me, it was Skyrim. Like when I don't remember when exactly they had this update where you could start building houses in game, but when I got this like bundle pack, I think it was maybe 10 years ago, went ahead and popped it in, and then I was just hooked. Like I kept playing it, and every iteration of my gameplay or my playthrough, I would always build one house, because you could build about maybe 2 or 3 houses. One house would be like all my main stuff, another house would be just for magic stuff, and then another one was just for maybe trophies. But I was always looking forward to that. And dude,
that's cool, man.
They were always full. They were always full of stuff, and I could never be empty of it, because it would like do this one side quest and like, oh man, I picked up a scepter, and oh, I picked up this other thing that's magical. But then there's this sword weapon that was already picked up somewhere else, so I need to make a trip to 2 houses. But no.
So you had a house to hold specific things, like each one had a different specific thing that you bought it just to hold that stuff.
Yeah.
That's how rich you were, man. I wonder, like, do people in real life be that rich where they're like, yeah, this is my I don't know, this is my exotic deodorant house. I keep all my exotic deodorants here. Or it's just something crazy.
But man, because all that stuff had to go somewhere. It had nice displays too in game. Like you could display a sword just in this one area, or I could display it on the wall, or maybe you could post it up somewhere else in your basement. It had everything from like maybe 2 or 3 story house to like a fully fleshed out basement where you had all your crafting stuff at, and it was just overwhelmed, man, with the building from it. But going back to Starfield, outpost building, I think I'm skipping here, but yeah, I just want to touch a little bit on the outpost building. It was so tedious. It really was. I was like, oh man, like automating everything took hours because when you're building that first outpost, that's getting your resources that maybe had iron, beryllium, and aluminum. Then you needed to set up another place that had the other beginning resources that you needed, and then you set up a third one doing the same thing. Then you set up a fourth spot that was going to be your main base, and you're like, okay, how am I going to get all that stuff over to this main base? So you started putting in these I keep saying intergalactic, it's not intergalactic, it's an intercom link landing pad, and there's a comlink landing pad. The comlink landing pads were for more like you're within the same system. Then it was easy to transport it because it doesn't use helium-3. The ones that were intercom link landing pads, those used helium-3, so you had to find a spot that had helium-3, have that pumped to that, and then have those resources allocated to another spot, and then have it sent over to your main base. Once you were able to kind of get that going, then there was this specific bug every time you went to the game that would immediately stop it. So you're definitely checking storage containers, you're checking ships, you're checking to where everything's going on that little screen that pulls up at the little landing pads, and then you're just going bonkers and just obsessively checking it every single time. And it's like, okay, when am I going to stop doing this and actually enjoy the outpost? Because I just want to build. This should be done already. But the outpost...
I love the outpost, man. But yeah, I do run into that same thing. But actually only with the helium. I don't know what it is. My helium at wherever it's at the incoming base, where I'm supposed to be getting helium, it always stops. I don't know what the hell's the problem.
And you tried taking out wait, is it at the storage, the landing pad, or is it at the resource extractor?
So everything on the outgoing where I'm producing helium is fine, but everything at the incoming at the next base, it will the cargo link will stop because it's not getting the helium.
And you have the gas container there, right? Not the solid storage container?
Well, the gas containers, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's built onto the cargo link.
Oh, I had to put a gas container next to the other gas container on the intercom. Oh my god, I can't say the intercom link pad, because it had to be allocated from the incoming straight to that, which would be put in to the other gas container, which makes no sense. Now that you think about it, it's like, why do I have to put another gas container for the other gas container that's supposed to fuel up the ship? But for some reason,
so heard you like gas containers.
But it worked, and it's been working ever since. So
yeah, I've tried it all kind of ways, but yeah, I'll figure that out. Hopefully my game isn't destroyed. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry after this stream is done and see that all my saves are gone. That's gonna be horrible, man.
That's a lot of work to be put in.
That's hundreds of hours, man.
And usually with new games, I'll restart it from scratch and just kind of have the knowledge to know how to go forward. But I feel like with this game, I'm like, it's either New Game Plus or start from scratch. Which one do you want to do? I'm like, I'll do New Game Plus. I'm not going to go all the way back. I think that'd be more of a challenge to do, because then you start off with this really crappy way of flying. Your weapons are super low. You're probably going to get picked off if you go too far. And I liked how the game challenged you in aspects where it told you where to go and not to go due to the specific levels. Like, you couldn't go to Crix. Is it Crix or Crux? It's one of the two.
You could go to Crix, but you immediately overwhelmed with pirates.
Exactly. So if you're just a Class A ship that just got into the game, yeah, you're not going to survive too long doing that unless you can pull off some really good piloting and have enough ship parts. Actually, I don't even think you get any ship parts at the beginning of the game. I think you have maybe...
Probably not, and they're expensive to buy too.
So you're either shooting down ships to get it, or you're just kind of a sitting duck where you just get in a whole death loop.
Yeah.
You just can't put the pips fast enough into those grab drives.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not meant to to go there. It's 1,000 pirate ships.
So speaking of ships, let's talk about shipbuilding for a second and just the whole ship thing in general. So with ships, you have Class A, Class B, Class C. Class C being the highest tier, Class A being low tier, and then Class B being mid tier. Do you think this should have been chosen a different way for the classification of ships?
I think they could have. I don't think it was a bad way that they went. They could have went a different direction because, like, I don't know if you did the same thing as me. You start doing it, opening up the shipbuilder and start slapping on parts, and then find out you can't use any of it because it's the level that you don't have access to yet.
Exactly. I was like, wait, but this is more powerful than this thing, and I'm getting shot down already. Like, what do I need to do that? And it's like, oh, you need to open up this trait to rank 3 in order to open up Class B ships. And I'm like, oh, well, that's gonna take a while. And it's all, yeah, go do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But once you're there, it's so rewarding because you get to fly the ships, and you're like, I've been missing out on this thing so long. And then you finally get to Class C, and you're like, I'm never deleting the save. I'm never going to New Game Plus because not only did I get this ship, it took a long time for the trait to get there, and that's only just one aspect. You're still having to open up ship shields. You still need to unlock ship shields. You need to unlock ship engineering so you can build better and get better modules. You still need to get oh my god, what's the other one? It's right next to it. Is it engineering? I just said engineering. It's
ship design.
Ship design. Thank you. Ship engineering is for it to repair faster. Ship design is for the modules to get better and better. But yeah, trying to unlock those all the time with the little bit of experience that you're trying to get. I've seen players try to think outside the box in terms of getting it. Well, it's either breaking the game or it's just killing animals just all the time in order to gain XP in like high level systems.
The way you said that, yeah, either doing this or you're just murdering animals.
Seriously.
Real quick, I just want to introduce you. For everybody that don't know who I'm talking to, this is my guy Azarath. Channel is Azarath Gaming. This is really his stream, and I'm just kind of co-opting it so that more people can hear his take on things here. And his link is in the description.
Thank you, Dig. What is going
Give
on?
him a little sub.
Oh man, the shipbuilder. I spent a lot of hours in the shipbuilder. Like, I had my first ship and I was like, okay, how do I do this? And I was just sitting there, just like reading the bottom. Okay, it says delete here, and I deleted a piece. I'm like, oh man, what happened to this piece? And I just kept doing it over and over again up until I maybe just like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And then it like prompted me to cancel. Once it canceled, the ship was put back together again. I was like, oh. And then it's like, just did it again and again and again up until I started adding parts, and then it tallies up the price for you.
Yeah.
And then you can either pay it, or if you don't have enough to pay it, then you have to have all the parts put back again. And it was just such a fun thought of making this ship because it kind of worked this cohesive bond with you and your ship. And you're like, okay, this is my ship. I can upgrade it any way I want to. I can make it look like anything I want to. It'll fly. It'll be like the best ship in the game ever. And
yeah,
like, how does that make you feel?
Well, I'm glad they put like their version of a control Z, like the undo button on there.
Yeah.
Because man, did I tank up some stuff on that. It just takes a little trial and error. But you know what? I haven't spent as much time doing it, which I need to put more time into the shipbuilder because it's pretty dope, especially when you see what other people have done. And then I look at those things and I'm like, damn, man, am I that creative, man? Because I seen this one dude, he was like, you thought you were space trucking before, was the caption. And the ship that he built looked just like an 18-wheeler truck, man.
Exactly. I was like,
it's crazy, man.
Like, it had to be nothing but what you call it, just cargo tanks on top of each other, and then like the boosters as the wheels, and then the cockpit up front. And it, like, how else do you work in the other systems like that? That's super creative.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is.
Man, down the landing gear too.
Like, have you made any outlandish designs on there? Like, are you good at that kind of thing?
Maybe one, just one. I tried to mess around with the Star Eagle and the, what is it? It was the Star Eagle and the Mantis. Oh, the Razor Leaf. Just those two ships. Kind of mess with them a little bit. I didn't want to mess with them too much because I love the design. But when it came to making my own, I felt it either looked too much like the Mantis or it looked too much like the Frontier. It was too close to those two ships. So maybe I don't have the creativity that I'm looking for, or maybe not even taking the time. Because I'm like, okay, I just need to be powerful enough to get me through the game, and that's it. I guess that's just what I look for. I don't look for the creativity to make maybe the Millennium Falcon like this other player had done, or maybe make this other stellar ship that I've seen people on Twitter take pictures of, and they go full on out with it. Like, they cover up the grav drive, they cover up where the shields are at sometimes, or they'll cover up the reactor so that way it looks fully fleshed out. I'm like, I can't think of that. I just can't. I can't put the pieces together for me to think like that. I'm just all about, okay, boosting the stats on the ship, and then that's it. I'm like, I will not mess with the design.
Yeah, I feel you. I've been kind of a little standoffish with that stuff, but I'm gonna try it, man. I want to build some ships. Like, I have a few in mind that I want to build and make some videos about them. Which I think is kind of being underserved as far as content. But yeah, I like that you can do that. I would like to be able to build stuff in Star Citizen, but with the type of ships that we got in here, I don't think that'll work out. Because when you have a ship builder in the game, it's got to be as simple as it can be. And Star Citizen ships ain't simple at all, man.
Oh no, not at all. Could you imagine having to fit a Star Citizen piece into a ship? You're like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and have you put in the landing pad that has like 50 pieces put in it, so you're gonna need this part to make sure that the suspension on this is gonna go well. And you're like, okay, no, I'm just gonna buy a ship.
Right.
Like, no,
that's exactly what I did when I had a mission that was farther than any of my ships could jump. I started like trying to configure my ship to be able to jump that far. I was like, this is going nowhere. Just buy something.
And you still need the trait in order to help you out with that. And I thought it was like candy too. It's like, wait, there's a trait that's gonna extend my grav drive when I have the best grav drive in the game. Like, oh man, really? And it's like time spent getting that trait. It's like, what, maybe 4 levels for that, and then 4 levels for this other thing. You're like, okay, cool. Now what do I do? It's like, now you gotta worry about your weapons. So it's like, oh. Because you have to choose over what is it, ballistics, particle weapons, lasers, and there's a 4th one, which is it disruptors? Because it's supposed to, it's like an EM. Oh, it's an EM thing where you just kind of disable systems.
Yeah, I remember what it's called, but yeah, what you're talking about. I haven't got too heavy into the weapons, which I need to once I start getting heavy into shipbuilding. But it's good that, because they have more weapon types than Star Citizen. Really? And it's good to be able to swap stuff out. Yeah. Yeah, because they got lasers, ballistics. They got that EM weapon, which Star Citizen has that. I can't even think of the name of that in Star Citizen right now. And then they got like 1 or 2 others, which I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, man, options is the name of the game with Starfield. And Starfield obviously isn't for everybody. A lot of Star Citizen players push back against Starfield, but it has so much to offer if you're into it. Like, I couldn't see like Star Citizen people that are dog fighters, that are bounty hunters all day. They're probably not going to get much out of Starfield.
Oh no.
But for most other people who have the patience to sit down with a role-playing game, man, it's the bee's knees, especially if you don't want to be bothered with nobody. You don't want nobody wrecking your game, what you're doing. You don't want no bugs to destroy, except for the one that just killed my game today. Yeah. But for the most part, Starfield is a pretty polished experience. And it's nice to have that, because after playing this game for so many years, feels like so many years, it's probably been about 4 years, something like that. It's just nice to be able to accomplish things, get through a game session, and not have to take 10 hours to do it.
Exactly. Get in, get out. Let's see. Do I have anything else about shipbuilding? Because I think I got all off my chest earlier. It's a really cool thing to do. And if some of you are like wondering out there if you want to do shipbuilding in the net game, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best things you can do in game as far as building, other than outpost building, but we'll get into that later.
You think other games should be doing shipbuilding?
Ooh, that is a good question. No Man's Sky probably shouldn't. The reason why I'm on the fence about that is it should, but I don't think it's gonna be in a way that players are gonna be okay with it. Because the way I've thought of it before was it would either have to convert all the ships to be picked apart, and that would take Hello Games maybe like a year or so for them to get that update going, let alone getting a mechanic that's fully fleshed out to do that. Or they would have to introduce another ship that you can do this with, so that way they would have to do it to all the other classic ships. Those classic ships would stay ships, and then this particular component you can just do that with that specific ship. That would be the fastest way and the most sensible way, I think, for players to kind of get what they want, and for Hello Games to make them happy. The reason why I say they shouldn't do it is because they would have to simplify it, or make it simpler. What am I trying to say? They have to make it easy for people.
Simplify.
Yeah, simplify. Thank you. They have to simplify it for people, and I don't think people are going to be happy about that either. Using the multi-tool as an example, they just came out with this staff multi-tool because they brought melee weapons a melee weapon into the game, where they had to configure 3 parts for a staff, and then once those 3 parts were put together, you had your staff that was able to shoot lasers, that was able to help you build bases. And I kind of want more than that. Like, I want to change out the engine. I want to change out the wings and everything, the outside of the hull. I want specific shields that are going to be the most powerful shields in the game. Like, I want all that aspects that I can have, or that I've experienced within Starfield, because it's been fed to me in that aspect. And I'm like, ooh, I kind of want that in this game too, since we're on the subject. But I don't think No Man's Sky is that kind of game. It's too relaxed. It's too sit back and just kind of like mellow out kind of gameplay versus something that's going to gear you up for these intense battles that are going to take place in space that range from maybe level 2 to maybe a level 50 ship with its friends who are like maybe level 40 and then level 30 and then maybe one level 2 in it, and you're like, oh, okay, I really need to build this ship up. You don't really experience that kind of stuff within No Man's Sky. The best you're gonna do is run into a rescue ship that you're gonna have to rescue a freighter full of that's being attacked by pirates, or you're gonna have to go and save a freighter that's being attacked by a pirate capital ship. Those are the only 2 aspects of the game where you're really gonna need to have your ship powerful enough to just kind of blow those things out, and you could do that without having this very powerful aspect in the game. Maybe just S-class stuff, that's it, but nothing too hectic that's going to make you say, oh, there's a mixture of all these levels of different pirates within the area, so I need to make sure I can take out this level 50 pirate that's maybe S-classed, and then this other pilot that's maybe C-class but has a lot of firepower on it, and then I need to allocate that. I was speaking earlier about the distribution system of power that they had put into the game. It's just one click and then immediately it's set. That's it. You don't necessarily distribute power, like maybe take 2 ticks off of systems and put those 2 ticks into lasers, or maybe put those 2 ticks in the missiles. You can't necessarily do that. You just push the button, done. So it's simplified for someone who wants to have that distribution of power aspect within a dogfight. It's not bad, but it's not so intense that you'll get a kick out of it. That it's not something the same person who uses a HOTAS to do it within Star Citizen or Elite Dangerous would have the same gameplay aspect. It's not as intense.
Okay. Have you played X4?
Yes.
Is there shipbuilding in that?
Ooh, no. You buy the ships actually, and you micromanage all of them. You can fly the ships yourself, but it feels like it's mostly a micromanaging game where you want to automate everything. It feels more like Satisfactory.
Really? Okay. I've never played it, so I had no idea. I thought it was just a single player Elite or Star Citizen.
Glitch Vision, welcome. He was saying, I think it was me who was discussing this. Nice. But what were we going off of again?
X4.
X4, yeah. It felt like a not micromanaging, but a management game to me when I got towards the end game.
Huh. Yeah, that's completely not how I thought the game was.
Neither did I. I
thought it was a single player Star Citizen.
It's like when you're in and then you choose like a background and they set you up with the ship and you're on this main quest. It kind of just leads you all the way through until a certain point where you start saying, it starts letting you know that you can build a space station. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go ahead and do this at this area. And then it's all about, okay, allocate all these trading ships to go ahead and get you stuff that you need and get more money for your station. And then have your like combat ships be a squadron along with the trade ships. So if anything happens, your trade ships are protected. I'm like, this is not what I expected.
It's weird. I don't hear about that game at all. I heard, when it first came out, people were talking about it just because there's not a lot of space sims rather. And so it was one that was on my radar, but then when they didn't have VR, I was like, But are people still playing it? Like I don't hear it anywhere. Not on my Discord. I don't see it in any of the other space game groups that I be lurking in. I don't hear about it anywhere. Somebody just mentioned it in chat, and that's the only thing that made me think of it. Are people still playing it?
No, not that I've heard. I think something popped up maybe a while ago. Maybe there was an update I looked at on Steam. But no, I don't hear about that anymore. Just like I don't hear too much about Dual Universe anymore. I mean, you want to talk about building ships in that game? You're building it from the ground up. Like you're building the hull. You're building the components you have. It's just that the hull and everything, and then the placement of materials, everything has to be balanced. And I think with the shipbuilding in Starfield, it lets you know right away with the simplicity of its shipbuilding. It lets you know whether or not it's nominal or whether or not there's like a warning or a caution that something isn't there for it to be balanced. So you have to make sure that you got everything right in order for it to fly. Okay. Dual Universe, you kind of have to just guess sometimes if you don't really know what you're doing. When you know what you're doing, you got to know, okay, this needs to be balanced. I need to make sure this is maybe like an inch off or maybe like an inch away in order for you to kind of get that, the engines to work right. Especially when it's the space engines along with the atmospheric engines, and then you got to make sure it hovers correctly, or maybe you're flying and then it ends up putting up its nose in order for it to stay straight instead of going up.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
Oh man, that's going overboard. What is it? Space Engineers. That game, which that one you do have to build it from the ground up. You have to have some sort of I don't think you really have to have some sort of knowledge of building in that game. It just helps because you're expected to build this vehicle, and it's supposed to be expected to go forward once you do something, or in reverse, or maybe if it's a ship, you need to have all these specific components that are very detailed. And I haven't played the game in a while, but when I did play it, I felt like it was a lot, especially just to make a vehicle that had a drill where I needed to drill from, and then extract the resources, transport it all the way back, hoping it doesn't flip over. Because if it flipped over, that was it. I couldn't push it back over.
Wow.
I had to get it up a hill perfectly, and then have those.
You can't claim ships on there. Can you claim ships? Or what do you do in that case?
I think you just try your best to flip it over.
I keep trying.
Yeah.
That's the answer, huh? So what happens if you lose your ship?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever built it to the point where it could fly.
Damn, that's crazy. Because I remember seeing you when we used to all hang out in my Discord, seeing you spend hours and hours and hours building ships.
Oh yeah,
and you never got one that could fly?
Dual universe. Oh yeah. Like no, all the time with ships in air. Space engineers, no.
Okay. I'm mixing up the games.
One of the biggest achievements I think it was for Dual Universe for me was building the Millennium Falcon, the exterior and everything, and getting it balanced so it could fly. Like I had to put engines on the top in order for it to be balanced for it to actually fly straight instead of having it to fly with the nose up. Like every time I kept putting it down, it kept thinking, oh, you need to go down or pitch down, and then it would crash. It's just like, oh man, but making the interior was the hardest part because it was rounded, and when you had to go like up the ramp, there was a little spot to the left where you could go, and like I didn't know what was there because I've never seen it before. And then there's like the cockpit, like hallway to go to, and I'm like, okay, I've seen that before. And there's a spot that immediately comes to like the table, the beds, and then there's maybe like a cargo spot that was kind of blocked off, and then there was the other way around that led to a kitchen, and then the ship engine room. And I was like, wait, this makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense when you're building it on the outside, but on the inside, it totally makes sense because of the size of the ship. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna take a lot of time and detail to build. But I'm glad Starfield did not go to that aspect.
That sounds dope, being able to, because there's a mod that's in Starfield now to build the interior of your ship. And Starfield is simple enough to do it where it'll work. But the only reason I think it's dope that you could do it in Space Engineers, but from what I've seen of their, like the building materials and how the ships look, they're kind of ugly, man. Like nothing looks good on there. It's like advanced Minecraft. I ain't gonna say that, but it doesn't look, it's not good looking. That's what I say.
I should have brought up the style about Starfield, where it's like this whole NASA punk thing. Does that settle well with you? Because I've seen you do like fashion shows on Star Citizen, and I've like sat in there and then watched and stuff like that. Like Star Citizen has their aspect, has their style. No Man's Sky has theirs within the interiors of their ship, especially within the capital ships, where you can kind of build it to be your own. But the whole NASA punk thing, where it's kind of relating to our astronauts and how it's supposed to be more grounded and more down to earth, no pun intended, where it's just kind of, it just looks like something you would ordinarily see, but it just feels new. Is that something that interests players, or is that something like, oh, they could have just done something more sci-fi?
Well, I'm just kind of happy that they chose a style and stuck with it, right? Because it's a cool thing. It's not one that you see other games running with. And I don't know, it's unifying, but the problem with it is that with like all the different oh shit oh god, I thought I was about to crash. What was I gonna say? All the different manufacturers, they don't really have a distinct style, a style that's distinct from each other. Like there's one that's supposed to be luxury, and it doesn't look very much different from like the bargain bin brand. Like their origin doesn't look too many steps farther from, I don't know, RSI, if you want to compare it to Star Citizen.
Oh yeah, because I thought it'd be more like, what is it called? Oh, I'm forgetting my ship manufacturer names in Star Citizen. Imagine RSI, and it immediately made me think of oh my god, the Cutlass Black manufacturer. It's on the tip of my tongue. Drake, yeah.
Yeah, I should have said Drake, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more on the lines of aspect of Drake than some of the other ones, because it's. Is it really that far away from oh my god, the rich manufacturing company, Origin? Because they have something similar to that within Starfield. It's more along the lines of
Tayo, something like that.
Tayo and Trident luxury And that's not a star yard. It's just the whole like luxury cruise kind of thing. But yeah, I think Tayo is more of the rich aspect. I haven't gone in there to like actually look at it, but I can kind of see that.
Like you can read all this lore stuff about Tayo, and it's talking about how it just looks like a dream, and you get in it, and it looks like the last ship I was in. Like it's got a few like luxury. Their luxury chairs don't look that luxury to me. They just look kind of Spartan, which is sometimes luxury brands like to go that route. But I don't know. It just doesn't scream luxury to me.
One of the ships in the game. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, one of the ships in game. It was luxurious. It had you go after like one of the specific agents, and when you stepped in, you were expecting this like NASA punk kind of look. On the other hand, when you walked in, it was like, oh my god, it's like this. The hallway is just like this giant area full of pillars, and then this grand area in the middle, and then at the top was this window with like a luxurious bed, like rugs everywhere, just like carpet and stuff like that. I'm like, where is this for all the other ships for like a luxury ship? And it's only for those built-in things. It wasn't for the players. I'm like, no, come on, man.
Yeah, I did that last night, man. I seen that for the first time last night, and I was like, dude, there's got to be a way to get this ship, man, because it is the coldest ship in the game, man. Seriously. I walked around for a good minute in there.
They won't let you go to the cockpit. I tried. I was like, I guess I'm not taking this ship. But man, there's just some ships in the game that look really good that you can't take over, but everything else you can take. That looks like something that you could just build yourself. And I guess now I'm on board with, you know, maybe we should have our ship interiors with luxurious modules that, you know, we're able to take into combat or going on exploration with. Like one of the, was it? Oh man, Walter's business. Like I can't remember names.
Eklund Strauss.
Yeah, Eklund Stroud. When you go over there to his team, his R&D team, and you try to motivate them and everything, one of the guys was talking about making a ship for celebrities, and I'm like, yes, that is something we should definitely do. Because if players could have that, it would be a whole type of luxurious ship. Imagine doing a video where you're kind of just showing off this ship like MTV Cribs because it has all this like mansion luxury within it, and it's like by this celebrity and blah blah blah. You can get this at this space station with these components, and then it would just build the ship of your dreams. And I find that that's a really cool idea of the game. But I understand it's not about building a ship like that because it's not Star Citizen. And it's definitely not Elite Dangerous with its beluga and its dolphin, and I can never remember the name of the third ship. Orca. Yeah.
I think that's Ghost Giraffe ship.
But yeah, the game's not really going in that direction. I'm like, I'm kind of cool with that, but it's just like, why even have that if you're not gonna show it to us?
Yeah.
I
agree.
Have the modules in, and like we'll be fine. We'll do whatever with it.
Agree, sir. Again, for guys that are just tuning in, this is my guy Azarath Gaming. This is his stream that I am just co-streaming so people can put some respect on his name. No.
Thank you, good sir. Thank you. But yeah, we talked a little bit about outpost building. Yeah, we kind of just glanced over that, so we're gonna go into what is it? Oh, skill and background traits. Yes, I did want to talk about this a lot, but man, yeah, almost everything in the game is locked behind that. Just almost everything, and you don't realize that until you notice that. Ooh, I got a little bit of boost in my jetpack, or oh, my ship is flying a lot better now because it only flew what? 4 degrees of freedom, and all of a sudden there was like the other 4 added. So I'm like, oh wait, it's not 8 degrees, it's 6 degrees of freedom, isn't it?
6.
6 degrees. Thank you. But yeah, you're missing the strafing in it, and that felt more like No Man's Sky. And then you put those traits within the rank up to rank 2, and you're like, where was this? This is what I was expecting, and then that surprise just made going into the traits so much better. But the thing is, you have to pick specific ones for your gameplay, because not everyone was beneficial towards it. Like, what if you were able to get what's a really bad one? What is it? Diplomacy. That you can pick a target, and then once you start going up the ranks, you can pick like maybe 4 or 5 targets in a group, and you can have them stop fighting for a few seconds. So like maybe up to 30 seconds, and I think full like rank 4 is up to 60 seconds. And then it only takes one enemy who isn't attached to them, and then all of a sudden it goes to hell. And like what you just did, and then you have to wait for a cooldown for that to come back up, and like you can't immediately use it again. Versus you picking up weightlifting, and once you're like ranked up with weightlifting, you can carry so much more than you could before. Like you can see that one beneficial to your gameplay. Versus diplomacy, where like, how many times am I going to be in a massive group where I need to have all the enemies in the same area in order for me to control them for a little bit while I'm hacking away at this computer?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They do have a few things that don't have a bunch of use cases for them.
Like, which I get it. It's supposed to diversify your gameplay, but if we're always gonna base something off of someone else's build, and then just go with that build through with the entirety of the game, which then it kind of misses that opportunity. Like I kind of wish they like saw through that for a little bit, but I don't know, maybe it is what it is. I felt the same way about manipulation in that trait. It's like I've done it a few times, and it's also come up in conversations too with an NPC, and I'm like, oh, I could just manipulate them, but I feel like I don't want to do that sometimes. Like there's got to be a way around it where I can persuade them.
There's got to be a better way. Gotti said, Azzy, you can check out Azzy streaming. This is his stream, so you can check out his stream too. I put the link, I'll throw it again in the chat again. But yeah, if everybody want to check out Azareth Gaming, here is the link to his stream and his channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I just wish that, like we were talking about earlier, was it your background, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
like Space Scoundrel and all that had more bearing, because I thought I was going to be Han Solo as a Space Scoundrel, you know? And I'm not. Like a couple people will make a few comments as I'm walking through the cities, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think I felt that way about Ronin too.
What is a Ronin supposed to? What is a Ronin? Matter of fact.
So, you were this. I want to say you were this mercenary that just kind of, you were heard about. You did some things that kind of made you stand out, and then you go to being what you are at the beginning of the game, which is this miner, and no one really talks about you. Gotti. It's only. Yeah, it's not even about your past. Like Lynn brings it up, and then maybe that cop brings it up, like I mentioned earlier. And
is
then
Lynn the one that calls you Dusty?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to not like that. Now I kind of like it. I'm gonna start signing off my videos with that.
I know. I
Fly Dirty Dusty.
I heard you use that in the video. I'm like, oh, dude, that sounded cool. But yeah, I don't think some of the backgrounds don't get enough like limelight like some of the other ones do. Like there was this one mentioned in the trailer about a Beastmaster, and then this person you're meeting at like some dinner table at a restaurant is explaining to you, I should have hired a Beastmaster like you. Maybe I could get this job done like faster. And then it's like, okay, that got recognition. And then, like I mentioned earlier with the Ronin, yeah, you get that recognition with being a Ronin, but it's not in a way that makes people say, I've tracked you down. I'm here to prove my worth against you, you masterless samurai, you Ronin. And then like they approach you in public and then start going after you, and it's just like this big brawl. And like maybe something like that would be pretty cool if you were unarmed and maybe had a katana with you. That would be super cool. But because your past is trying to catch up with you. But the only example I have of this, and it's because I did this with an action in game, was I went ahead and took something I wasn't supposed to, and I lied about it from this other ship where it says, "Oh, you're early." I'm like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" It's like, "You're early to pick up the package." I'm like, okay, I'll just pick up the package. I took the package.
Yeah, I did that too, yeah.
And then just kind of went about my way. Once I entered another system, that ship was waiting for me.
Yep.
And it's like, you took something of mine, either pay for it or I shoot you out of the sky. And I was like, oh, it's just 4,000 credits. Okay, here you go. And then
you gave it to him?
Yeah, it's like 4,000 credits.
I tore his ass up, man.
I mean, it seems fair. I took his, so I was like, oh, I'll just make that 4,000 in like 5 minutes anyway.
I had already sold it, so I was like, yeah, that's gone, man.
I didn't even know where it was in my inventory. I'm like, it's got to be here somewhere. I don't know what he's talking about.
What
but
the hell?
I wasn't gonna give it to him.
My ship is what the hell? Don't know what's going on with my ship here. Anyway, I like that a lot of the stuff is buried in the. You have to unlock them when you rank up, because it keeps me playing longer, and it gives me yet another thing to do, to have in the back of my mind. Star Citizen doesn't have enough things to do, right? Like if you're brand new, then yeah, it's got all the stuff in the world. And if you're doing like some multiplayer stuff, then there's endless things you could do. But when you're playing solo and you've played it for a while, you start running out of stuff to do. You can only make you can make all the money you want, but after a while, there's nothing to buy. Starfield, I can make as much money as I want to with my outposts just by producing stuff that I can then turn around and sell. But just because you have all the money doesn't mean you can do and get everything, right? You got to rank up to get the better ships. You got to rank up to put more people on the ships, to have the ability to burn people with your jetpack or whatever you wanted to do. You can't just buy your way into that position. And I like that, man. It gives me just reasons to stay at this desk far too longer than I need to be, man.
Seriously, like,
oh, snap.
Trying to make a let's play of this, I was like, okay, where can I find a spot to kind of end it? And then it would just keep going with the side quests, and then going and going and going. Like, okay, I really need to cut it off here. It's been like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want to stop. You want to keep going. You want to keep playing because you're so close to the end, finishing. And you're like,
right.
Okay, I finished. It's like 4 a.m. I got work in 2 hours.
And it's crazy because it's not just us gamers doing that. It's developers. Like, I'll be talking to some game developers who'll be like, yeah, man, I was up to like 3, 4 a.m. last night. I'm like, didn't you have to work today? They're like, yes. They know how to keep you coming back, man. And I respect it. They're not doing like these really scummy things to keep you coming out of pocket.
Oh man, microtransactions.
Yeah.
Now let's not get into that can of worms.
Yeah, those guys are crazy, man. They be just preying, doing predatory things on people's dopamine levels just to keep them buying stuff. Which I understand, these are businesses. They're there to make money, but just there's cool ways to do it, and there's not cool ways to do it.
I think it was with Diablo 4. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, they were having a whole I just said it. They had a whole microtransaction thing with that game. I was like, why? In the earlier games, you were able to loot all that stuff. Now all of a sudden, it's behind a paywall. It's like, and like you said, it's a business, but at the same time, at what point are we gonna stop doing that so it stops ruining gamers' gameplay? I mean, it works with Fortnite. That's a totally different aspect of how that game is played versus something that's an RPG like Diablo in that series. So you can't just kind of drop that into there.
I don't have enough room to put some fruit in my backpack.
Oh man, food. Food and Starfield. And being a chef in that game, it seems fun because you can make all of these dishes, especially ones that give you specific buffs for XP and O2 and to carry more weight. The alien boba, that gives you maybe like,
that gives you the XP.
Yeah, like there's only 2% though. I'm like, why only 2%? Because you have that, and then you have the buff from when you sleep with your companion, which gives you about 15%. You're already looking at 17%. I'm like, why not just give it an extra, 30%? So you're at 45% XP.
Man, that's a lot.
For like 23 minutes though. I mean, for
a lot.
Probably have to shorten the timer on it though. But if we can't stack, no, I think you can't. You can stack those two things, but like I said, it's only 17%. And then you're out there getting XP. I think the less I've gotten was maybe 5 XP, but the most I've ever been awarded was 400 XP for maybe doing this nice quest line, or maybe going on the main quest and then kind of just getting my XP off of that. So I think it all depends on what you're doing in the game, but you don't want to excel and rank up too fast to the point where you're going to get bored. So it kind of has a nice balance in between the two. So maybe 45% would have been, like you said, way too much. So maybe it's balanced where it's at. So it keeps you coming, but it doesn't necessarily get you bored. But it keeps you playing.
It does keep you playing. But I'm also, as much as it keeps you playing, I'm wondering, is Starfield gonna have the legs that Skyrim and Fallout had on it? I mean, you're on your second New Game Plus, right?
Oh, the third now.
Third New Game Plus. That's crazy, man. And at this point, it's like, how much is they're gonna do? So you got to look at, they're coming out with a DLC, but from what everything you can find on the internet, they've only got the one DLC coming and not anything else planned.
Oh, yeah.
Then you got mods. Mods will open up the game a bit, well, a lot. But I don't know how far that's gonna take it compared to Skyrim and Fallout. I hope they do, because I love that those games are still heavy with people playing, making videos, all kind of stuff out there.
Exactly. And I mean, it took a while for the other DLCs for Skyrim to come in. And Glitch, thank you for correcting me. It wasn't it wasn't Diablo 4, it was Diablo Immortal.
Never got into Diablo. People were playing it heavy like a month or so ago, a couple months.
Yeah, they were. Seeing people
like, come play this satanic game with us, Dig. I was like, nah, I think I'm good, man.
And then Baldur's Gate dropped. It was like, whoa. And it just kind of, the attention shifted immediately to Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, it did.
People were having a hell of a time with that game. I still got to get like my copy and then play it, because I want to know what all the hubbub's about. I know it's a Dungeons & Dragons kind of thing, and I've only done something Dungeons & Dragons similar with like a bunch of friends like years ago. Maybe I'll get into that aspect.
You actually played the tabletop Dungeons & Dragons?
Not the official one, no. It was kind of like something a friend had made up, where he was the dungeon master, and then it was kind of like set in space and stuff like that. We kind of got to pick our background, what our skills were and stuff like that. Something similar to...
It was in space?
Yeah. They called it Black Sea. So it was a really cool game. We were like, I was coming back for weeks on that.
Okay.
Just like expecting to play and everything. And we had digital dice to roll instead of like actual like D20 or some of the other dice that you would roll.
Yeah.
Specifically with a tabletop game. And it was exciting. It was really exciting. So I think jumping into Baldur's Gate 3 is just going to get me like that hype and that excitement that I've been looking for in those kind of games.
I don't know. I might check that out one time at some point, but I've never played D&Ds, and yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for Baldur's Gate if it's that style of game. Dude, what is up with my vehicle? It is all over the place here.
But moving on to faction quests. We had the faction quest, and we had Constellation, and then I think that was it. Then we had like side quests just below that, which is like kind of quick because it was like maybe a fetch quest, or maybe it was something you had to steal or take, or maybe like give. Which one was your favorite, and what do you think could be changed about some of them?
You know what? I don't think I've done any faction quests. Which ones are there? There's Vanguard. I know that's one. I haven't done that. What else is there?
There's Vanguard, Freestar Collective, Ryujin, Crimson Fleet.
Okay, I'm in the middle of Crimson and what's the other one you said? Freestar Collective. I think those are the only two I've done, or have even started.
I have yet to get into the Crimson Fleet. Because I want to go ahead and portray the pirates once I go through the whole quest line. But this one lie I had yesterday for a side quest that was over on Mars, I went ahead and lied that I was a pirate. And then walking through the ship to pick up this clues for the governor who had dirt on him.
Governor.
I was like, you know what? Maybe the pirates aren't so bad. Because
they're not so bad. They're not so bad.
Because they were just letting me walk through the ship, and they were like pretty cool with it. I'm like, oh, that's what's up. And then got the clue, got off the ship, and then just flew away. Only because I persuaded the captain to let me onto the ship, because he knew right away that I was like, no, you're not a pirate. You're definitely not a pirate. But immediately I thought, you know what? Maybe I should just go ahead and do that. But I need to do the whole UC Vanguard thing first before I can jump over the Crimson Fleet. But I want to do Ryujin first and get that out of the way. But we're looking at 6 to 8 hours of finishing that faction quest. I think Ryujin was 8. I think Freestar Collective was 6. And then there's UC Vanguard. I think that was 8 as well. Then there was Constellation, which was the main story. I think that was around the same amount of time.
I forgot I did start Ryujin too. I guess I'm a starter and not a finisher with these things.
This is so many.
Because you know what? I started playing the Ryujin one, and I did 2-3 missions, and then I did this one. I was like, you know what? These mother effers are dirty, man. I don't know if I want to do some of these things, because they wanted me to do something bad to the woman who has the weapon, the gun company, Aquila. And I was like, I like her. I don't want to do that. And so that just ended my Ryujin progress.
Oh man, I didn't even think about it at the time. I just kind of went up and did it. And then it's like, oh, I'm meeting these people again later on. I'm like, oh. Well, at least they don't know I double-crossed them. But, one of the coolest aspects in the game that I have found from Ryujin is that Ryujin stays with you throughout the entirety of your gameplay, because you can use it within conversations to say, oh, I'm a part of this faction. And then Freestar Collective is the same thing. Or when you become a Freestar Ranger, same aspect. Or when you become a Crimson Fleet pirate, it's like, I love that, because you can tell people I'm this instead of telling people, oh, I'm just a miner. I'm like, that is not what I want to tell people in the game.
You embarrassed about your profession, your former profession?
Like, I ran into maybe more encounters with Ryujin stuff than I have with some of the other factions. Maybe you see a little bit more than Freestar Ranger, and Freestar Ranger came up with Freestar Collective stuff. But when it came to Ryujin, I ended up finding this ship that had 2 Ryujin operatives in it. They didn't recognize my rank. I had to tell them I was a senior. And they had me decide the fate of this AI. This AI was
yeah.
It was just speaking like an intelligent and sentient being. It's like, there's no way I'm gonna go ahead and kill this thing.
You end up killing them, huh?
Actually, no. I think I had to shut it down. It was about to kill them. I think it's about to kill us in general. I'm gonna have to,
I killed them for them.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't like them guys either way, talking all that stuff.
One
of them was cool. If he wouldn't have pulled his weapon, I would have let him live, but he did.
It was the dude on the right, wasn't it? The guy with the beard and the long hair?
I don't know if they generate the same characters, but for me, there was like a mullet dude, which, he had to die for the mullet anyway. And then there was a brother who was more reasonable, but he pulled that weapon, he had to go.
Oh yeah, same 2 people. But
Okay.
yeah, I had to convince him, and I had to convince the AI to shut down.
Oh, you can. Oh, okay.
'Cause-
Was your persuasion up? Because I don't think that was an option for me.
Oh yeah, I made sure, because I was like, once I saw persuasion as a trait, I was like, nope, I gotta bump that up, because I want to talk my way out of situations sometimes. Not to mention, that saved me a whole bunch of bullets. Like, I had 24 different sets of ammo.
The dude makes a decision based on his bullet count. I like it.
Exactly. Because when you run out of it,
Oh, snap.
one of the complaints I heard about other players is that when they have this really cool weapon that they've upgraded but can't find the ammo for it, or they have the ammo for it but don't have the weapon, it creates a little bit of like anger and confusion. Where, you know, players are always having the, how do I reference it? It's like no ham, no burger.
It's got ham, no burger.
Peanut butter, no jelly. And I don't see it as a big issue. It's like when you're not using it 100% of the time. Because usually I'll go melee and then use my katana, but then I'll sometimes have to switch off to a rifle or maybe a sniper rifle because of the distance. And then I'm micromanaging my ammo count all the time, because when I'm not doing that and it goes to 0, then like, well, I just used up all my ammo for this specific weapon that was going to be my advantage. Now I have to go running in with a sword, which isn't bad because you do get a buff for being a duelist in the game.
I got so many guns that if I'm out of ammo with one, then I got like 5 others to work with. At least 5. I think I carry like 9 guns. I'm like, you ever said I'm gonna get you, sucker?
Yeah.
He's like, you can never have enough guns. He slips on a bullet, all his guns go off.
Oh man.
Give me, pardon me for 1 second, man. I'm gonna throw a fan on my camera so it don't overheat.
All right. The camera overheats? Let's see what else we got. Moving along from from factions. I just saw it. The economy. I think we were talking a little bit about it too, where you can never make enough credits for you to buy your way through the game. You're just kind of building that up so you can buy whatever you wanted, and then you're still out of money again, and then you have to recoup it. Once you recouped it again, then you have to buy this really expensive part. But the parts that are really expensive, you don't even get to touch yet because you're not within that specific rank. Now, I have theories on this, and I've heard from other YouTubers that it depends on your level, in game, where you can get the best components that you need. But I think it's locked behind the trait. I don't think it's really locked behind level, because I'm up to level 50, but I haven't necessarily hit rank 4 on ship design where I can get the better modules, so it's still locked. What I want to do is, when I have more skill points to spend and the challenges are met, go ahead and rank up to rank 4 in ship design and see whether or not that's going to unlock all the components that are usable within.
Nope, it's not.
Really? Oh yeah. Man,
some of them are level locked.
Okay, so it is true. I was hoping.
Yeah, because there's some builds that I want to do that you need to be at like level 50, and I don't know if that's where the cap is for buying that stuff. I mean, it seems like it should be. Like level 50 is kind of crazy, but I know they at least go up to level 50.
I'm there, but it's still grayed out at the bottom.
You got Class C access or no?
Oh yeah.
Oh damn, maybe it goes beyond level 50 then.
If it's like in like level 80 and stuff like that, I'm like, oh man, there's gonna be a while.
Oh yeah. Do you use your outposts as a like an XP farm?
Not necessarily. I mean, since I'm already automating a lot of the stuff that can be made by fabricators, I don't necessarily need to sit there in front of a industrial bench to make them. But I don't have the necessary materials in order for me to make mods for weapons, or maybe to mod up my spacesuit so maybe it works even better, because that's totally eliminated once you make it to New Game Plus and you end up having the Starborn spacesuit. It's
Yes, I don't know nothing about that.
and then what was it in New Game Plus? This is just kind of a side note. I ended up getting a Tonto along with me, but no, it's the Tonto and the Cutter, no rifle. I was like, huh, that's actually pretty interesting. I wonder if that's based on because I had the duelist trait, or maybe because of the Ronin background. Because it was hard for me to find a Tonto up until New Game Plus, where it was kind of just a random drop, and then it's just automatically given to me at the beginning of the game. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can't wait to see what New Game Plus 4 has then.
So each New Game Plus unlocks different things?
I think so, from what I'm experiencing.
Okay.
But yeah,
I kind of like to see what they would have came up with had they took it even more time to release a game.
And I've heard that about the game too. Like, people are saying that it should have. There's so much more that could have been put into the game, but I don't necessarily see that. I'm like, what else could they have put into the game to make it better?
Definitely more romance options, because I'm not interested in any of them. And I've seen some things that you could tell that they started but just never got around to finishing. I can't remember exactly what those things are, but they're out there.
I wanted to speak about the romance aspect for a bit. I like the fact that it's optional, but I feel like it is a little limited because it's within the relationships you have within Constellation.
Yeah,
it's not like anywhere else. It's just kind of weird. I'm like, so if
you gotta get a work wife. I don't want a work wife based on them pickings.
Another player was able to actually marry two of the women in game, both Andreja and Sarah. I was like, wow, man, like, why? And the fact that you could do it, and it's because once you're fully romanced them, you married them, stuff like that, they're completely locked in. If you were to flirt and marry the other one would get super angry. It's like, well, I love that aspect because that's like real drama right there. Just without one of them pulling out a weapon and killing the other one. But I mean, you can kind of leave them. They don't necessarily have to go with you as a companion, but you just miss out on the buff.
The bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the romance options are cool. I don't put in any game put a ton of time into them, but it's nice to have that partner that's on a little bit different level than your other companions. The pickings is just too slim for me though, man. Like, you got Andreja, who's like the hardest balls character, who's also part of kind of a culty thing. And then you got what's her name? Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, who's just kind of vanilla to me.
Oh, so there's no one kind of there that kind of gives you that I dig her kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like Sarah more than Andreja. Andreja is part of the House of Varun cult, but it's like, no, yeah, you lost me there once you said the Great Serpent. Like, nope.
She want to put her Great Serpent on you, man. Like, wait a minute, she has one of those? The most interesting companion to me is Barrett. Because Barrett is gregarious. You know, they got a good voice character they got good voice characters, like, for a lot of characters in there. But I don't know. I just like hearing them talking shit when we're talking stuff when we're in combat. He's just a good character to have around.
The confidence in his voice, you're like, oh yeah, I like his personality.
Yeah, man.
Because you definitely know a person who has that kind of personality.
Right?
Oh man, dude, what is up with Sam?
Sam, which one is Sam?
Sam Coe?
Oh, I just started doing stuff with him, and what do you mean? What's up with him?
Dude's a little touchy, man.
Is he?
Like, oh, like I would usually do what I would do with the other characters. I'm like, the empathy thing with them, and then would be like, okay, they really like that decision. I'm like, okay, cool. So I get that buff, and then, but with him, it's like he's very emotional, and then like the flirt line came up immediately. I'm like, no,
yeah,
nope, Sam, no.
Yeah, it's weird because I thought he was gonna be the cool, laid-back cowboy, but yeah, that dude is a little sensitive, like you said.
It's like, nah, dude, you're barking up the wrong tree. But like, man, dude.
Shout out Demon, SFC Demon, and shout out my man earlier with the super chat. I appreciate that. Yeah, what the hell I was gonna say? I don't know. I haven't seen all aspects of his character because I've only done like a couple things with him, and I know he's all sensitive about the family stuff, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go with this character. I don't know what to expect from this dude.
I never realized this during the main story gameplay. So it gets to a point where you're collecting all the artifacts, but you're encountered by the Starborn. And then you're at the lodge, and you just heard that the eye was just attacked. So you have this decision to go up and go to the companion that you're in a romance with, or you get to stay at Constellation and help out there with one of the other companions that has a very low level of companionship. So if you were to stay at that low level, that means you just killed off your beloved character. I was like, oh man, I'm super sad now because I just killed Sarah because I didn't go up there.
Oh, that was a spoiler right there. I didn't know what you was talking about.
Sorry about that. But it's so cool how the game gets you attached to that, and you just kind of think of that aspect. Okay, next game I'm not going to do that again. And your decisions, I think, dictate how you go into new universes. Like, I've been hearing people say they got the same default New Game Plus every single time, and other people have had variations. One of them was kind of like Andreja, just there alone with the Varun Zealots, and she was like fully committed to her cult. To the point where she like attacks you and you have to kill her. I'm like, wow. That's actually an aspect of the game. But
man, you got to tell these people spoiler alert.
Oh. And I apologize.
You're like, wait, this character dies?
But it's just so random and so cool. I mean, there's already a YouTube video out about it. I didn't even think that someone would go through the the aspect of showing that, but you would have to see how it leads to that aspect, and you don't really know where to go to make sure that you get what you need to get, but it's all at random. So in a sense, it's like telling you the killer dies during the movie, but you don't know when and you don't know how, but it's gonna happen. And I think that's the meat that you're gonna have to kind of look for, I guess, instead of just heading towards the destination. You're like, I want to see where they die. Like, don't you want to know how? I don't know. That's me trying to dig myself out of a hole.
Yeah, he is. I try to walk it back. Somebody left the chat because they said, "Oh, they ain't that far yet."
And I apologize.
He said,
everyone out there.
He said, "Drop like that. Have to leave to avoid more. Have fun."
No, I think I'm just gonna leave it at that then. Because I thought with so many people playing and so many people getting through this game pretty fast that there weren't that many people still left to spoil. So it's been a month and a half and just people are still not at that point yet. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, if they're playing like me, they're probably not going through the main story missions. I'm just kind of hitting those every every once in a while.
Like, I tried outpost building for a bit just to take a break from all the faction quests, stuff like that, because I was done with it. Excuse me, I didn't want to end the
He
game
said
yet.
finished. Well, so you don't build outposts just to have them? They're all just strictly functional?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't want to
I make a home out of mine, even the ones that are just functional. I like to throw a bed, some plants, make it look good, make it look like it's comfortable for the people that I have stationed there.
Oh, you have people stationed there. Oh, and me on the other hand, it's just at the main base that I have my crew and like my main bed and like my home set up there.
Ain't stop saying no to people who need work. So now I be like actively trying to like look like I won't talk to somebody unless I look to see what their name is, so it don't say like outpost management or something like that. So like, hey man, I need some work, man. You got a job for me, bro? Come on.
It's a whole new building dedicated to that one worker.
Right? Now I gotta unlock the skill to have more outposts and more cargo links. And
oh my god, going through the whole science tree, it's work. It's literally work. That's like what, maybe is that 24? No, it can't be 24. Maybe it is, because you don't need to put too many skill points within to each trait in order for it to work. You just kind of need to put one here, but maybe 4 in another one. So yeah, maybe it is about maybe 10 to 15 skill points you're gonna have to put in there to make everything work. But yeah,
wait, skill points into what?
So for a lot of the traits within the science tree, like you have scanning and you have geology, outpost engineering, and then what's another aspect of it? Was it outpost? No, I think outpost management is in something else. I think that's in social. What are so many other ones, but I can't think about all of them off the top of my head. Just the ones that kind of stick out in the ones I've chosen so far. You don't need to put too many points into that. The ones that kind of unlock the thing that you need in order for it to unlock at the outpost builder. You just need to put in the ones like outpost engineering, in which you can start building everything in terms of like decorations for your base and other modules that didn't appear there before. Like, I wanted to build a bathroom because I wanted to go with the whole aspect. There's like 6 people here. You mean to tell me that they're not gonna go to the bathroom here? So when I was trying to build the bathroom, a toilet was available, the paper towel roll was, but nothing else. No wall, no nothing. Like, how am I supposed to build a bathroom if I can't put walls up and like make a stall? But there's a sink that can only fit if the wall is flat. It can't fit in there if the wall is like tilted, and it's just, you have to think about things ahead of time. And I don't know if you have to like unlock the entirety of outpost and engineering in order for you to get those decorations, but I do know you have to do that with the research lab. I don't know if it's locked behind that, but I have to go through there and then unlock, what is it, rank 3 and then rank 4 probably. I don't know if there's a rank 4 or not, but unlock that to see if there's more decorations behind it that can make stalls, or maybe just have like a shower that's in the middle of the room that makes it like a co-ed shower.
I've maxed out one part of that, and no, that stuff ain't, what the hell, man? That stuff ain't there. But I think there might be something else that's in another part of research that you wouldn't think would directly relate to that might possibly have some of that stuff. But if not, man, they need to open up these mods, the mod tools, so people can start making that stuff, because there is woefully a deficit of things to get your place looking like how you want it. There's like just very few pieces of furniture. There's no walls. Like, I've been making makeshift walls with bookshelves and stuff. But yeah, we could use some more building materials.
So I guess bathrooms out of the question.
Yeah, for now anyway.
Bummer. Oh, well, this is
Belgian bummer.
Oh man, and I think that's my train of thought. So, yay or nay on HOTAS? And I think we're gonna wrap it up after that.
What do you mean?
So, with HOTAS controls in the game, because Down Earth Astronomy was able to make it work by using a virtual controller, or a virtual Xbox controller. So, I mean, it was a way towards it, but I don't think this game is for it, really. Because I
wondered it at first, but I don't think it's necessary.
Because it's
I haven't played it. I haven't tried it. Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I haven't tried it with I haven't tried it with a mouse and keyboard, so I don't know how well that works. But with a controller, it's just fine.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about the controller. Mouse and keyboard, it feels like Star Citizen. I haven't played Elite Dangerous too much on mouse and keyboard, but from some of the other space games, it definitely feels like Star Citizen. The speed and everything, and I think that's from when you keep ranking up. I think in Star Citizen, it depends on what ship you're flying. But within Starfield, it's more on the lines of, okay, have you ranked up within this trait? Have you bought the best modules in order for you to boost back and forth and whatnot? I don't think they have any effect on the side thrusters. It's just the rear engines it has effect from. But
okay. I mean, there are some things like with the controller, you have to hold another button down to do like strafe, left, right, up or down.
Oh yeah, gotta do that with this too. I have to hold space bar and then hold WASD to go up, down, left, and right.
So that would be useful for a HOTAS. A HOTAS could take care of that problem.
In a heartbeat.
If not for that, I wouldn't even be thinking about HOTAS anymore. And you know, I don't really use that strafing function much anyway, so I think I'm just fine without HOTAS. I don't think it would be, for me personally, worth the effort of, because I know that's probably takes some doing to get that set up like D2EA has done.
It's just you have to have one.
I don't know. Are you into it or what?
I was thinking about it, and the fact that it could be done by doing a specific way, I was like, like how often would I use it though? I would have to be in space,
that's the thing.
Like all the time. If I'm not fast traveling from one planet to another because I'm trying to get this quest done, you know, before I go to bed, then like how often am I flying into space? It's only going to be for either dogfighting. I can't do anything to scan because scanning would require me to go to another menu that has nothing to do with the HOTAS. So I think, no, there's no reason to have it in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool for people who really want to take it to the next level. And maybe we'll see something new where that would be worth it when they open up the mod tools. But for now, yeah, I don't see the value for myself. But it's cool that it's there as an option.
And everyone, I think we're going to wrap it up here. It's been a very interesting conversation going over all the space games, kind of the aspects of Starfield and how they're kind of shaping the whole, the player base, and how many opinions and different experiences people are having, where we can't necessarily come to an agreement that we're all going to have this specific aspect of the game that's going to be said and done, but instead build it how we want to build it. But
yeah, what he said.
And thank you everyone for watching. Dig, thank you so much for doing the podcast with me.
Absolutely.
And everyone who was just watching, I'm sorry for the spoilers. We're not gonna do any more spoilers until like maybe a few months out when Shattered Space comes out, which we will be playing. I think it's in April or sometime around that that timeline. There you go. Thank you everyone. This is Azarath. Dig, thank you so much, and I will see you guys this Friday for some more Starfield. Peace.
Deuces. Are you off?
Not yet.